Hi! There might be some jargon that will be used, but when conducting the activities for preschool children, you can use simpler terms that they are able to understand and relate better. Thank you, and we will start.
My name is Jaslyn and I'm from Science Centre Singapore, and with me today is a leader from Science Centre KidsSTOP.
Hi, everyone. How time flies. We're already at our last session of Bite Science. So this is a final recap of what Bite Science is all about. So Bite Science is a webinar that explores ways to encourage sustainability practices in schools. It is also aligned with the Nurturing Early Learners framework, and we will use everyday items found commonly at home and in schools. So for our first session, we explored making our very own DIY compost with green and brown items. And for our second session last week, we made a self-watering planter using recycled plastic bottles. So today, Jaslyn, what will we be doing?
For today's session of the Shrinking Plastic, we will understand about properties of plastic, learn how to reduce and recycle plastics. Can be divided into two categories known as thermoset and thermoplastic. So the difference between them is firstly for thermoset is able to retain the shape, and that's the reason why it cannot be returned back to its original form. How about for thermoplastic? So for thermoplastic, it can be heated and shaped many times, and that is the reason why thermoplastics will be suitable for recycling. So have you ever wondered what does the numbers on the plastics mean? So basically for different or containers or even plastic bags, they are indicated with this number. This plastic codes represent certain type of materials that were used to make this plastic. Number 6, which is polystyrene, will be used for the shrinking plastic activity. So earlier on, I mentioned that plastics are polymers. If you look at the different plastics, normally they start with the term poly, such as polystyrene or even polypropylene. And if you take a look over here, there's 7 different types of the number codes and represents the different types of chemicals used to make them. In this slide over here, this is the size of the type 6 polystyrene plastic will be used before heating and after heating. So you can take a look at how the size changes after heating. We will need a permanent markers, plastic product. So in this case, we are using polystyrene, which is number 6 plastic, scissors, baking paper, and toaster or oven. So the toaster and oven that we are using has to be non-consumable, and also because that requires a lot of heat, so we will need safety equipment such as mittens and tongs. Right now, I'm going to invite my lovely assistant to show us the steps on the shrinking plastics. All right, so as you can see over here, so we get ready the number 6 type of plastic. So the first step that we need is we need to use a scissors to cut out the shape. If you look at the corners of the plastic, we ensure that there's no sharp edges. We are going to decorate it using permanent markers on the plastic sheet that we have. So this is an example of how it looks like. So if you want to make it into a keychain, so before we place it in the toaster or oven, we are going to use hole puncher to punch at the side of the shrinking plastic. So there we have it. And what's next, what we are going to do is we are going to preheat the toaster or oven to 150 degrees Celsius. And once we are done, this is the aftermath of it after heating. And using a pipe cleaner, we are going to string the pipe cleaner through the hole that was punched and twist it into a key ring. So that is an example of how a shrinking plastic works. This is an example that we did for the bite size. So if you were to compare it, so sometimes when we shrink the plastic, there could be some uneven heating, and then that will be irregular shape that will be formed. Please note that when we use this activity, we have to use an oven designated for non-consumables. So what's happening is the polystyrene is a very useful and common plastic. So one reason why it is so popular is because it's very easy to be molded into different shapes. This is a type of thermoplastic polymer that softens when it's heated. So you may ask why is it that we set the temperature at 150 degrees Celsius? This is because polystyrene works best at this temperature. That's when the plastic becomes softer and more rubbery, and it can be shrunk to its original form. So now that we have learned more about shrinking plastic, I think it's time for us to answer some poll questions.
It's right. So this will be like a practice round for our bonus question later on. So the first question is, How many types of plastic resin coats are there? Is it 6, 7, or 8? And all right, so the answer is 7. For the next question, thermoplastics become what on heating? Rigid, soft, or brittle? So those who answered soft, you are right. And for the third question, these resin codes represent the number of times the plastics can be used, the type of plastic that an item is made from, or the number of years before it starts to break down. The answer is the type of plastic that an item is made from. All right, I think you are pretty ready for the bonus question, but we're not at that part yet. So right now, is the part that's in alignment with the NEL framework. So these are some process skills that we felt it could be demonstrated through this activity. So like for this activity, besides these two process skills, comparing and predicting, they can actually also cultivate like other process skills such as, observing the process of plastic heating, shrinking, and then recording the results with drawings of what they observe for like the older children. And all these process skills allow them to make connections between what they see and what they are learning. So a good way to cultivate these process skills, like what I've mentioned for the past two sessions, is through questioning techniques, questions that we ask the children and questions that children will ask. So these open-ended questions are good for documenting the whole learning process journey. And how we can do it is we can also do a discussion prior the activity as well as after the activity to compare like their thought processes and ideas before and after. And by doing that, children can develop and extend new ideas and concepts found. So now we have a special guest speaker from the National Library Board today to share some information and books related to the topic on sustainability. Let us welcome Madhya.
Hi, good morning everyone. I'm Margia, librarian from National Library Board. I hope that you have enjoyed the presentation on understanding the properties of plastic today. So to further your children's knowledge on based on today's theme, I will be sharing with you two book recommendations that you can read with your children. I've also prepared a reading list with over 6 books, so you'll be spoiled for choice in engaging your child to learn more about our lovely green friends. The list can be downloaded at the end of my presentation via a QR code. So the first book I have to share is this Captain Green and the Plastic Scene by Evelyn Douglas and Danny Deeptown. Captain Green and the Plastic Scene is a fun way to teach young children about the dangers of plastic waste and how they can become true superhumans who take care of the world. It is written beautifully by Evelyn Douglas, cleverly plotted to show the damage that our overuse and dumping of rubbish is causing through real examples. Then, by Captain Green's explanation, what must be done to combat the problem. There's enough text to make the story a good length for older children, but not so much it goes over the heads of little ones. A really nice balance. Danny Dicktown's illustrations are bright and colorful with pops of personality in the creatures and the humans and lots of brilliantly little details, giving the pictures interest and entertainment value without detracting too much from the importance of the story. The second book I have is Follow That Bottle, A Plastic Recycling Journey by Bridget Post and Alex Redgate. This book is written in a way that is easy to follow and understand journey of a plastic water bottle from being emptied to being reused, but also be mindful and explain to the children that this is from a UK context. Okay. I hope you enjoyed my book sharing. You can find more interesting books such as the ones in my slides in the reading list provided that you can download in the QR code. You can also access the NLB catalog in the second QR code. Thank you all for this session.
Thank you, Madhya, for sharing interesting stories and books related to plastics. So right now is our questions and answer session. So if you have any questions to ask us, or even Madhya as well, you can type in the chat box and we will answer your questions.
That's right. I think this is an activity that like we normally wouldn't try in schools as well because like you're worried about the safety issues. Yeah, so if you have any questions about that, you can actually let us know Is there any environmental concern when we shrink the plastic?
For this activity when we try out. So the idea is to recycling. There's a questions by Rainy. Has there the same temperature for both oven and toaster? So the temperature might be a bit different because of some toaster and oven have varying temperatures. So if you set it at a very low temperature, it might not work well because for polystyrene, it works best at 150 degrees Celsius. So we have to check out the properties of the certain plastics that we are heating up.
So basically, the activity should be carried out in a well-ventilated room because there might be an unpleasant smell upon heating. So it's important that you do it with doors and windows open. So I'll just share a little bit more about this kit. It's a very good resource to engage children in activities that's related to Sentosa. So there are like puzzles, there's a big storybook. It can be like a pre or post excursion trip activity with the children. You can use the materials in the kit to also set up like a learning space in the classroom. And we are sharing this kit on behalf of Sentosa to reach out to more preschools. And it is also a pretty large kit with big items that are reusable. So it's perfect, for sharing amongst the different classes in a center. Then so now how to win this is to type your answer in the chat box later when we flash the bonus question, and we'll be giving away 3 kits to the first 3 participants who answer in the chat group. So if you are ready, the bonus question is: plastics are isomers, monomers, or polymers? I think we have the winners. The winners are Lisian, Priscilla, and Rita. Thank you. We will follow up with the winners of the kit via an email. So do keep a lookout for our emails. And actually, we have come to the end of our session. We hope that you had fun and learned something new with us. We would also like to thank our sponsors for making this happen, and we hope to see you all at STEAM Fest 2021.